Hey, it's Sarah, and today we're going to be planting up some containers with herbs in my Virginia Zone 7 garden. Now, I love growing in containers. I think they're great for a lot of reasons. They're of course wonderful if you don't have in-ground growing space, but they're also great if you do because they help you expand your planting area. They give you that flexibility where you can put a container in, a little nook or cranny where you couldn't have a full-on garden bed, and it allows you to grow plants closer to your front door or your back door. So a lot of times our gardens might be a little bit of a ways away from our front door, and that's fine. When you're going out and doing garden work and harvest and stuff, it's not a big deal. But when you're cooking and you just need a handful of this or a handful of that, it's really nice to be able to just walk right out and grab something really quick. So having herbs in containers is especially good for that. When you can just get a handful of basil or get a handful of cilantro or whatever herbs you like to grow, it really just makes it that much easier and helps you use the herbs more in your cooking. So that's what we're going to be doing today, and I'm really excited about it. So a few details. We've got a few different containers I'm going to be planting in, all terracotta. I really like planting in terracotta because it is breathable and also because I think it looks really nice. So I've got some different sizes, and then I've got a different selection of herbs. I'll get more into the details of exactly what I'm growing as we get things planted up, but I've got a selection of things that I've grown before as well as some things that are new to me. So that's going to be fun. And then as far as what I'm putting in the containers, I'm actually going to be reusing potting soil from last year. So when you have a lot of containers at the end of the season, you have the potting soil left over. Obviously, it's not as wonderful as it was at the beginning of the season, but it still has all of that mass and bulk and, everything that's still there. So rather than waste it, I decided to save mine over the winter. So I got this thing called a geo bin. It's basically this long roll of thick, heavy-duty plastic that you roll out into the size you want, and you make this round pop-up bin that you can just put up wherever. It holds together with these little key twisty things that you put in and kind of locks the bin in place at whatever size you decide to make it. And then I stored my potting soil in there over the winter. So the geo bin is great for this purpose. I think it could also be great if you have a place where you want to do some composting, but you need something that's a little more flexible, something a little less permanent. Could be good for that. Could be good for leaf storage. I was really interested in it for the potting soil purpose because I can set it up for the off season when I'm storing the potting soil, but then when I've used it all and put it all in my containers for the year, then I can roll it up and put it away, and not have it sitting there for the portion of the year where it doesn't really need to be in use. So that's the setup I have going and what I've decided to do. And then to fill my containers, I'm using that, plus I'm amending it with some compost. So of course, the potting soil is not as full of nutrition as it was when I first mixed it up. It's going to need a little boost, so we're going to put some compost in there, but we're not losing all of the stuff that is still there in that spent potting soil. We're just going to revive it a little bit. So that's what we're going to be using to fill our pots and plant our plants in, and we're going to get this show on the road. So let's get going, let's start planting and see how everything looks. So now that we have a mixture of the old potting soil and the compost in the containers, let's talk about the plants that we're going to be planting. So I've got them right here next to me. First one is lemon thyme. I love lemon thyme. It has all the wonderful things about thyme, but it's also got a little lemony essence in there, so this will be great to have. We also have just a German winter thyme, kind of one of the more common thyme varieties. These are seeds that I started last year in this cup. They grew. I never planted them. They just sat on the back deck. It died off in the winter, and look who came back this spring. So that is impressive, and we're gonna reward this plant by actually planting it this year. So we've got German wintertime. Then we have some Greek oregano. This is something that I don't use oregano currently kind of like instinctually, like throw it in here, throw it in there. I kind of use it when it's called for, but it's one I'm trying to turn to more often because I do really enjoy it. It's just not kind of in my cooking habit to turn to it as often as I would like to. So we've got the Greek oregano. Next up here is a Tricolor Sage. So this is really fun. You can get these kinds of variegated sages. This one is, you know, the green, the sage green, but with white and purple, and can kind of get a pinky look to it. So I'm excited to have this one. This is a new to me plant, lemon verbena. It's getting kind of tall, and you can see it's trying to put out lots of side shoots. So I really need to get this in the container because I need to get it settled and then cut off some of the tops so it will spread. But this is another lemony plant. I have never used it before. It's my first time growing it, but I saw starts at the farmer's market and I was like, oh, you don't see that all the time, so I should snatch it up. And you can use it in cooking. A lot of people use it also for tea. You can dry it for tea. This is one that will not come back here. It is a perennial, but just not in my zone. So I also will probably experiment with pulling it in for the winter and seeing if I can overwinter it inside. But this is going to be one of my new plants this year that I'm going to be doing a lot of learning about and just experimenting and figuring out what works. And then our last friend here is a lemon balm. Now, I have lemon balm growing in the ground, but I don't have it in any containers, and for those reasons I mentioned earlier of, you know, how having it near your door helps you use it more often, I wanted to have a container of lemon balm to go next to my mint containers, and I thought it would look nice and be a lot more practical that way. Of course, I'm keeping the in-ground stuff because that's great. Sorry, this is a little heavy, so let me get a better grip on it. But this is actually something I got from my in-laws. They have lemon balm growing in the ground as well, and this was a little patch that had kind of sprouted up extra that they didn't need, so I got this from them. And I'm going to be planting it in a container so we can have some container lemon balm as well. So let's get these things in their homes and get everyone nice and happy and settled in. Well, I do think that my camera stopped recording at the very end of getting the last plants in, so I apologize for that. But we've got everyone in their pots. I think everyone looks very happy and pretty. I do still need to water everything in, so I will give everything a nice drink so they can get all settled and happy in their new pots. But other than that, we're done. Everything looks good. So I've got the Tricolor Sage here. We've got the lemon verbena and the German wintertime and the lemon thyme and the oregano and the lemon balm. Everyone is happy in their new home, and I think you can really tell once you see everything in their pots how nice the terracotta really does look. It's one of my favorite things about it. It just looks so nice, especially with the green foliage. And you know, we've got some different shades going on too here. With this pot down here is a little bit different than these are kind of the standard terracotta that you might purchase. But I love it. I love the way it looks. I'm very happy. So I'm gonna get these watered in. I'm gonna get them set up in their new homes, and we're gonna let them grow and see how they look as the growing season goes on. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing me potting up some herbs for this year, and many of these will continue on in future years in their containers, which is very exciting. And I hope things are going well in your garden, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.